I'm LJ, and welcome to LJ's News Reactions. In today's clip, Iran has issued a chilling warning to the United States of America. Take a look at this clip. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And as always, like and subscribe.
A Fox News alert now on new U.S. airstrikes against ISIS targets in Syria this weekend. Fox News chief foreign correspondent Trey Yingst joining us from neighboring Israel. Trey, what's the latest?
Jackie, good morning. Overnight, the United States launched a series of strikes against ISIS targets in Syria. U.S. Central Command said these strikes were in response to the killing of 2 National Guardsmen last month. According to reports, the U.S. used more than 90 precision-guided munitions, hitting over 35 locations. These were the second round of strikes against the Islamic State since that attack on U.S. forces. CENTCOM continues to monitor ISIS activity, but officials tell Fox News they're also closely watching the ongoing protest in Iran. Over the weekend, massive demonstrations swelled across Iran with fires set in major cities, government buildings torched, and mosques burned down. For the third day, Iranian officials have shut down the internet access there, but with Starlink satellite uplinks, some images and information are trickling out, including reports that security forces have opened fire on protesters in multiple cities. Crowds in northern Tehran chanted, "Down with the dictator, long live the Shah. Pahlavi will return." With widespread domestic unrest and a Truth Social post from President Trump overnight saying that the USA is ready to help, the Speaker of the Iranian parliament is warning the United States against striking Iran.
American military centers and bases and ships in the region will be our legitimate targets.
This week, the Israeli Security Cabinet is holding consultations about the situation in Iran. Jackie?
Trey Yingst, thank you so much. Well, joining me now is Senate Intelligence Committee Vice Chair Senator Mark Warner. Senator, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Just to start off.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. Your reaction to these strikes in Syria, anything you can say about the degree to which the U.S. has degraded ISIS with this attack?
Well, we continue to hit ISIS targets in Syria, and they are bad folks. Let's acknowledge that, and let's also acknowledge the fact that the Iranian people are very brave to stand up against their repressive regime. But if we step back for a moment, Jackie, in less than a year, President Trump has used American military to attack Syria, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, Nigeria, Venezuela. We've got 20% of our fleet off the coast of Venezuela maintaining a blockade. And our military did remarkable in Venezuela. He's now threatening Colombia, Greenland, and other nations. I'm against the bad guys around the world, but I'm not sure that America trying to be the policeman for the whole world is why Americans hired Donald Trump to be president.
There have been no shortage of Republicans saying that there's a lot of precedent, presidential authority for those kinds of strikes that date back to Democratic administrations too. But on Iran specifically, the Times of Israel is reporting that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, that President Trump is, quote, seriously considering authorizing a strike on Iran amid this crackdown and the internet blackout there. In your opinion, is the regime at a breaking point? And at what point should the U.S. get involved?
Well, the Iranian regime is awful, and I stand with the Iranian people. But what I'm worried about is if we take a kinetic strike, does that actually unite the Iranian people in a way that the regime has not been able to? I know this is history, but the last time we intervened in Iran in a major way was 1953 when the CIA overthrew the Iranian regime to protect Iranian oil for the West. Many historians would argue that led to the Ayatollah. I think we can put outside pressure, I think rallying the rest of the world, but taking a kinetic strike unless there is a plan on what next. And I'll remind your viewers, we've got 20% of our fleet right now off the coast of Venezuela, blockading that country. The USS Ford, which is one of our lead carriers, is supposed to be deployed to the Middle East. It's now deployed off the coast of Venezuela. And the president has said, we're going to take Venezuelan oil. It will take 2 years to rebuild the Venezuelan oil infrastructure. Is our fleet going to stay there for 2 years? Even as good as our military is, it's going to get stretched. And the president has said his only constraint in terms of how he uses American power is his own morality. And I'm just not sure that's what the American people or the world signed up for. There is a reason why the Constitution says that no single individual can put our troops in harm's way by themselves without consultation with Congress and making a case to the American people.
Speaking of additional action on U.S. troops, I want to get your reaction to this. The president said that cartels are running Mexico. He suggested that land strikes on cartels in Mexico could be coming soon. The Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, has called for increased communication between the U.S. and Mexico. Is there any justification for land strikes on cartels in Mexico?
The drug cartels are awful. We need to use lots of tools. But the idea that we are going to take a military strike against Mexico, remember, we may not like the president may not like President Sheinbaum, although he said nice things about her, but she was elected by the Mexican people. Do we really, are we going to continue to strike out against any leader around the world that Donald Trump doesn't like? I mean, if Donald Trump wants to make a case about striking Mexico, he should take it to the American people and to the Congress and ask for some kind of declaration. But to arbitrarily, again, I point out the fact that he's used American military to strike 6 countries in less than a year. I think the people hired Donald Trump because he said he wanted to end these countless foreign wars. It seems like he's potentially starting more, and even some of the countries you talk about, Greenland now, which is part of Denmark, is a NATO ally. Is he going to literally blow up our NATO alliance to go after Greenland, where we already have a treaty that allows us to do virtually anything we want? I just don't understand what his policy is. And if the only check on the president, and this is what he said to the New York Times, his only check on his international power is his own morality, that's not the way our system is supposed to work, Jackie.
Well, I want to ask you about Greenland because you are the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, and there's a lot of reason to be strategically interested in Greenland. The Hill writes this: melting ice has turned what was once a frozen buffer into a contested corridor. Shipping lanes are emerging, subsea cables snake across the ocean floor, missile paths shorten, surveillance gaps narrow. Russia knows this, China knows this. Both are investing heavily in Arctic presence, infrastructure, and influence. Either the U.S. can treat Greenland as a distant curiosity or what it actually is, a forward position in a region that will define future power balances. Is the president at all justified in pursuing Greenland?
No. Well, Jackie, Greenland is extraordinarily strategic. And we have a treaty with Denmark that gives us right to virtually do anything we want in Greenland. But the idea that he's now threatening Denmark, which Greenland is part of, which is a NATO ally, if he were to take an action against Greenland, that would completely destroy NATO. And it's a little ironic the president is citing Russia, since the president has basically been cutting back on our assistance to Ukraine, which is fighting Russia tooth and nail to try to push back Putin's aggressive war. How does he, on one hand, say he's concerned about Russia in Greenland, but not concerned about Russia in Ukraine, where the Ukrainians are fighting in many ways the NATO's fight?
We're out of time, Senator. We'll have to leave it there. We've got to point out there's plenty of reporting to suggest he's pursuing a sale, a purchase of Greenland over any sort of an invasion. But this is obviously an evolving issue.
Let's see if we can get a settlement. But breaking against the NATO ally, I don't think the American public will stand for that.